Hey, what's going on, guys? Today I just wanted to do a follow-up to the video that I done a few weeks ago about Jordan Peterson. A bunch of people replied, and I wanted to take some time to read some of the comments. So if you haven't seen the video, go back and check it out. Jordan Peterson was doing an interview with a British journalist who suggested to him that we lived in a male-dominated society. Jordan refuted that claim, and he gave us a list of qualifiers to prove that we did not. And my assertion is that any one of those could be used as evidence that we actually do. So a bunch of people just said things like, you only debunked yourself and you didn't debunk Dr. Peterson on his claims, and what a clown, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Um, that's fine, you can say whatever you want really, but it, I think if you disagree with me, tell me what you don't agree with, and then we can have a conversation about it. We're just saying, well, you're all like this guy, just because you're bald and wear a black shirt and you imitate Harry Potter doesn't make you right. I mean, I don't know why you take the time to write that, really. But anyway, a few people said some interesting stuff, and I wanted to get into that. So Andrew Rotteroo said, you're blaming men for negative statistics that women have, e.g. lower pay, but you're also blaming men for negative statistics that men have, e.g. higher imprisonment. How does that make sense? Well, first of all, I don't think it's a question of blame. I think it's just a more of a result of. Secondly, it's a bit of a straw man argument to suppose that if you live in a male-dominated society, every conceivable metric where you measured men against women would come out with men doing better than women. That basically supposes that men will always make the optimum environment for men to be in, and that to me seems to not. I mean, there's no logic to that. Cody Carraway took issue with me saying that the females were more vulnerable than males when rough sleeping. So female rough sleepers are more vulnerable than male rough sleepers. He said that I posed that point without any context or follow-up. It's just a thing that's true and portrays an alleged bias towards men-in-law. I'm sorry, I didn't give you any qualifiers to that. It absolutely is true. Women are obviously not as physically as strong as men. Rough sleepers are extremely likely to suffer physical assault. Women who rough sleep often suffer sexual assault, and there are all sorts of reasons why female rough sleepers are more vulnerable than male. Cody goes on to say, I imply that laws need to be enacted to provide extra protection for women than men. I'm sorry if I gave you that impression. I wasn't trying to imply that. I think actually the entire Housing Act really needs overhauling, but that's a conversation for another day. I was simply pointing out that that's an example of a law that is equal, that there's equality in law, which actually doesn't take into account a vulnerability. So sometimes when you're looking at things equally, you're saying everything has to be the equal. That's not what equality actually means. If you treat two people exactly the same, that doesn't necessarily equal equality. That's the point I was trying to make. Then one guy wrote this massive comment saying it was gibberish and hilarious and stuff, and then he gave me a few advices. Firstly, get the intellectual backbone to articulate your thoughts in a coherent manner. He wants me to be more coherent, and then he quotes, I can't read because it's in French and I don't speak French very well, this poet, Boileau. I don't. It's a French poet that I'm not aware of, but I did get someone to translate it for me, and it basically says that if you're saying something straightforward and coherent, then the words should follow easily, which seems, I mean, a little bit ironic that you're say something simple and coherent, but you've chosen some French poet to quote me in French to make that point. Another comment that he makes, he says, secondly, try to talk about things that you have experience of, however small. And then he says, you know nothing about being homeless, you know nothing about war. And everything in your extravagant performance shows you are fed with ideas which are not yours, that you mindlessly repeat because there's nothing stopping you. Okay, first of all, I'm reminded of the Morgan Freeman quote in $1 Million Baby. People never take their own advice. Talk about things you have some experience of, however small. You know nothing about me. Actually, I do know quite a lot about homelessness because I work in homelessness. I've worked with homeless people in some guise for about 2 decades. I've been homeless myself. So yeah, I do know quite a lot about that actually. I haven't been to war, that's true. I have studied First and Second World War quite extensively, and ancient history quite extensively. So I know a little bit, I think. And yeah, my ideas are absolutely mine. But again, that's fine. And I want to just finish off with Ben Watson. He says, if men and women have the same rights in law, how is it a patriarchy? I think it's a patriarchy because for so long men have enjoyed more rights than women, and it's created into a patriarchy. I think I'd put it like this, Ben. If you took the 1 million most powerful people in the world, and you took them, world leaders, tech billionaires, and politicians, and fixers, and sports people, and movie stars, and whatever, the 1 million most powerful, influential people in the world, most of them, the vast majority of them, would be men, wouldn't they? We live in the world that they create, and men are, famously don't understand women. That is common enough to be a cliche. So what are the chances that we living in this world that is basically, it's shaped and run by overwhelmingly men? What is the chances that is going to have an equality of outcome, or in any way really can be said to be to not be male dominated? So anyway, those are my thoughts. I have another Jordan Peterson video. I've seen a bunch of his, so I might do another one if you want to see another one. But let me know your thoughts. I really appreciate your comments. Ultimately, feel free to disagree. It's not a confrontation, it's a conversation. So I don't mind what you say, and we can talk about it. If you feel that strongly you want to talk to me, I'd love to talk to somebody live. So yeah, drop a comment down below if you are prepared to do that, and maybe we can have a conversation. All right, take it easy.